Right now, sitting in your kitchen, you have a substance that once toppled empires. It is in a small container near your stove. It cost almost nothing. You probably don't think about it at all. But for most of human history, that small white crystal was the most valuable thing on Earth. More valuable than gold. More valuable than land. More valuable in many cases than human life. So what happened? Salt does something no other substance on Earth does quite the same way. It defeats time. A piece of meat left in the open air will rot in days. Pack it in salt, and you can eat it months later. For a species that spent 300,000 years never knowing where the next meal was coming from, that was not a convenience. That was survival. Before refrigerators, before canning, before any of the preservation technologies we take for granted. Salt was the only thing standing between a good harvest and starvation. Every civilization that rose to power understood this. And every civilization that controlled salt controlled everything else. In ancient Egypt, salt was used to preserve not just food but people. The mummification process depended entirely on a salt compound called natron, a naturally occurring mineral that desiccated the body and stopped decay. Without salt, there were no mummies. Without mummies, there was no passage to the afterlife. Salt was not just practical, it was sacred. The word salary comes from salt. Roman soldiers were sometimes paid in salt, or given a salt allowance called a salarium. When we say someone is not worth their salt today, we are quoting the Roman army. Think about that. The phrase has survived 2,000 years. The substance it references now costs less than $1. In the Sahara Desert, Arab traders moved salt across 1,000 miles of open sand on camel caravans. At the trading city of Timbuktu, salt and gold were exchanged at equal weight. A slab of salt bought a slab of gold. Not because people were foolish, because in the interior of West Africa, where there was no access to coastal salt deposits, salt was genuinely harder to find than gold. Gold you could not eat. Gold would not save your food from rotting in the heat. Salt would. Around 450 BC, the Greek historian Herodotus described a string of Saharan oases connected by a salt road. Entire economies ran on it. Towns rose and fell based on proximity to salt deposits. In China, salt taxes funded wars. The Han Dynasty built a monopoly on salt production in 119 BC that would last, in various forms, for over 2,000 years. Historians estimate that at certain points, salt taxes accounted for half of all government revenue in Imperial China. Half. Of everything the government collected, revolutions have been fought over salt. In 1930, Mahatma Gandhi walked 240 miles to the Arabian Sea. He bent down, picked up a small lump of natural salt from the shore, and broke British law. The Salt March was not symbolic theater. It was a direct attack on the most profitable monopoly the British Empire held over India. The legal control of salt production. Within a year, over 60,000 Indians had been arrested. Within 2 decades, India was free, a small white crystal. It brought down an empire. So why don't we think about salt this way anymore? Industrial salt extraction changed everything. The Wieliczka salt mine in Poland had been producing salt since the 13th century. But industrial machinery turned a trickle into a flood. The price of salt collapsed. Within decades, something that had structured the entire global economy for thousands of years became cheap enough to give away. And we forgot. We forgot the caravans crossing the Sahara. We forgot the Roman soldiers. We forgot Gandhi bending down at the shore. We forgot that cities have names, Salzburg, Saltillo, Salsomaggiore, that literally mean salt place, because that is what they were built to be. Here is the thing about salt that nobody tells you. It did not become less important. Your body still requires it to function. Every nerve signal firing in your brain right now depends on a sodium-potassium exchange that would stop without it. Every muscle contraction, every heartbeat. Salt did not change. The world just learned to make enough of it. The most powerful things are often the ones we stop seeing. The ones so essential they disappear into the background of ordinary life. That container near your stove. For most of human history, armies marched for it. Cities were built on it. People died for it. It is still the same substance, you just forgot what it cost.